Hi, I'm JJohnston, coming to you from hot and sunny McAllen, Texas, and I'm here to tell you about the internship project I did for my master's degree in educational technology from Loyola University of Maryland. I made this completely on my district-owned iPad so that I would get more experience in using the same technology that my students have been given. It's been an exciting time here in McAllen, and I have learned so much. I hope you enjoy my internship presentation. I began my program in the fall of 2009 with Introduction to Educational Technology. And when I began, I really didn't know very much about a lot of things that I thought I did. And I became very comfortable with PowerPoint and worked with HTML to create a web course with my group. In addition, in the winter, I took a research class, not my favorite class, but I continue with some of the work I had done on a previous program on science inquiry, and I did enjoy learning more about that. After the research class, we went back to learning Web 2.0 tools and different parts of Microsoft Office, and I really enjoyed that class. It was my first taste of Web 2.0 tools in the classroom. In the summer, we took multimedia design in the classroom, and I spent many long hours learning VBA, but I was bound and determined to make it work. It drew off of some work I had done way back when with BASIC, and I really enjoyed it. We also learned about distance learning in the summer using things such as Blackboard and Moodle. And in my internship, I've been thinking a lot about things like that, like how can my students work on things at home and extend what we do in the classroom. I didn't realize when I was taking educational innovations that it would have such an effect on my internship. We are part of an innovative process here with the iPads, and so a lot of what we discussed then I was able to apply to what was happening here this year. I found digital communications in the classroom to be about the hardest thing I'd ever done and one of the most fun courses at the same time. I learned about Web 2.0 tools, I discovered Edmodo, I learned HTML, I worked really hard to understand the HTML and the CSS. Hopefully someday it will be of some use to me, but I just found it really personally interesting, and Edmodo has been one of the bigger successes of my internship. I knew a move was a possibility, so I took educational technology seminar with another cohort. I really enjoyed reading Carr's book and discussing the shallows about how our brain interprets what we're reading. As it turns out, my students want to read on their iPad a lot, so it has carried over to my internship. When I took the role of the technology teacher, I had no idea that it would be such a part of my internship. When they announced the TLC3 initiative, I volunteered to work on the district policy for the students, and then when the students began getting their iPads, I worked with them to show them their responsibilities and to install the district filtering system onto their own iPad. Although the course was called Adaptive and Assistive Technology, I find that it can be used anytime. I wanted to use the interactive whiteboard technology into my internship, but I wasn't able to make that happen, although I think I might try again for next year. In my last class, we looked a lot at different innovative things that have been done across the country. Again, never dreamed that I would be part of one. It's been exciting. In a matter of just a few weeks, I went from being a Maryland resident to moving to McAllen, Texas, and I was invited to be part of a technology initiative on a much smaller scale than what turned out when I accepted the job. When the district announced that they were going to be purchasing iPads for each and every student in the district, starting with the teachers of the technology cohort, I was very excited. I immediately knew that was the direction I wanted my internship to go. I wanted to work with the teachers who were not going to be getting the iPads and not part of the cohort to teach them how to use the iPads with students when they are just using their computer. I worked with my principal to come up with a plan of a direction we might want to go in, and then I created a survey so that I could get a feel for what the staff wanted, what they knew already, and what they were interested in learning. In the fall, I attended a meeting for the creating the policy that parents and students would need to agree to before receiving their iPad. And I was able to take some of what I learned in ET 680 and apply it to the policy. I also went over this policy with my students before they got their iPad, and then once they got their iPad, I worked extensively to teach them how to install the filtering that the district had acquired. In my first session, I introduced my teachers to Edmodo, and Edmodo is an online social network site. It's been very successful. A lot of teachers in my school have heard about it from the ones who attended and have been using it quite a bit. I then worked on basic iPad skills with a small group of teachers who knew nothing about an iPad. I worked with just getting them basically familiar with how to turn it on and off, a couple little things on how to monitor what students are doing, just so they would have a better feel for it when the iPads arrived in class. Next, I held a session on some iPad apps that would be free for students. Teachers who didn't have one could use them, and they're kind of fun and keep the kids engaged in what we're learning. I then worked with our science teachers to show them how to use Show Me, which allows students to create a little video along with VoiceThread and just a flashcard app so students can study the science terms on their own. Drawing on what I had learned in assistive technology, I worked with a group of special educators and general educators, and we looked at ways that the iPad can read to students and some touch settings that can be used by not just by special education students, but by anyone. With so much happening, I kept a blog within my internship website on just thoughts and reflections of what was going on in my sessions and in the school as well. And I also created a wiki for the staff to use as a way of sharing what they've learned, because a lot of the teachers have learned a lot of nice apps to use in class and some other pros and cons so that everybody would have a place to share. Throughout my internship, things have been changing so quickly at my school with students getting iPads. I never dreamed I would be part of a program like this. It's been very exciting. If you're interested in learning more, I'm sure you can look at the McAllen website. There's a lot of links to a lot of different things that you may find useful at some point. Thank you for letting me share my internship with you. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have, learning to use my iPad just a little bit better. Thank you.